Welcome to Reset Your Mindset. Yes, this is deja vu. We're doing it again. We had technical difficulties. And I don't I don't know if you know this, but at the end of every show, I always rip up my notes. And now I've had to sit here and tape them all back together again. So let's hope this goes the way we want it to. So reset the mindset. Have you ever heard anybody say, wow, if it wasn't for bad luck, you'd have no luck at all? Or do you go through life with negative thoughts that are guiding you through your day and you don't even realize it? How often do you sit with gratitude? Hi, I'm Miss Chrissy D with the PNK Files, your emergency kit to life. And this is Darlene Turner with Victim to Victory. And together, we're the perspective.
Hi, everyone. Well, last week we talked about fear versus trust, and this is going to really feed into today's show. But first of all, I really like to know how you did with your list. I encouraged you to create a list of the sort of pros and cons if you move past fear for whatever that is that you want, and create what that picture looks like moving past that fear. What would it look like? And how did you do?
Well, I made my list and I did share a little bit last week about a situation that I was going through. And I made my list this week because it wasn't getting dealt with properly and it was very serious and it needed to be. So I moved through it. I didn't come from a place of fear. I got in my heart, set my intention for what my purpose was, why I'm going to follow through with this, and I did it. And yeah, it might not have been completely comfortable, but I did it. And so far, so good. So I'm really happy that I'm moving through that.
That's great. And it's true, it's not comfortable moving past fear. It's like a wall and it actually keeps us stuck or frozen or just, it stops us from expressing ourselves, whatever that is. So that's a lovely example, and thank you for that. So let's break it down a little bit of sort of categories, if you will, of the mind. There's the fear piece of it, which is like what Chris and I have been doing and most of our lives is living from a place of fear. So making all our decisions and how we are interacting with life from a place of fear. Or it could be negative thinking, and that kind of encompasses judgment and criticism and always pessimistic and looking for the worst case scenario, which, you relate to that one?
Yeah. Worst case scenario. Somebody that is guided by negative thoughts and it's guiding our day, coming from a place of fear, I always wanted to know what is the worst case scenario, because that's how I keep myself safe. I need to know how I'm going to, I've got to be prepared. How am I going to deal with that worst case scenario? Because how I deal with it is how safe I'm going to be.
And bless our minds for that, right? Because, thank you, mind, for just trying to keep us safe, because that's a beautiful thing, But the mind really only has to base that on is past experience, past beliefs, the old filing system, and that's what the mind goes on. And what we want to do is start from where we're at now and start creating into the future, which is from the new file system, from this new place. And our English language is not very helpful because when we talk about things, it's usually from a negative aspect of, like, I'll give an example, our sentences or even though it may be a positive sentence, it has a negative twist on it. And I'll give you an example of don't worry, no problem. These are all positive sentences, but they're put in a negative aspect.
Yes. Yeah. I have a real pet peeve when I say thank you to somebody and they say, no worries. Yeah. I wasn't worried. I wanted to thank you.
And that comes from that person actually not even being able to accept and look you in the eye and say, you're welcome. They slough it off like it. And that pieces, that value that you're offering. You know, I know we talked about this in our yesterday, was about you wearing a nice shirt and somebody will say, oh, what a great shirt. And then you kind of slough it off as, you know, oh, well, this whole thing.
I got it on sale. I got it
Yeah.
at the secondhand store. It
Yeah.
makes you look fat.
So what we're really trying to say here is that our words have power. And when we start to become aware of the sentences coming out of our mouth or the way we're thinking, it starts to help us realize what's actually running on in our mind, and those old beliefs and those old programs.
And what's guiding us through our day, where we're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I find when I'm focused on the positive and I'm moving forward, it helps me not be focused on the negative. So it's getting rid of that old negative file and replacing it with that new file. And when something positive comes, I have to be aware that that's positive. I need to grab that and put it in my file, reset.
Well, let me break this down a little bit more so everybody can understand how it's working. And then, because I believe knowledge is power, right?
Yes.
So, let's see. When you have a thought or several thoughts, and there is a feeling or emotion attached to that thought, and it becomes our hyper focus. So we're having several thoughts and sentences and things that are projecting into that. That is sent out into the field, which I know I've talked about before, the universe. And the universe acts as a magnetic pull back to that. So it's our message out there, and then that's what's being attracted back to you. So we were talking about if you ever thought of somebody and then they called you. And I know you were saying you had a good example.
That happened to me this week. It was absolutely amazing. It always excites me when stuff like this happens. It's just so cool. I was actually handing over a file to somebody at work, and I explained that this person is doing well, that they are housed, that they've got some good opportunities. And then I said, but haven't talked to them for a little while, so maybe just follow up with them to make sure they're okay. 5 minutes later, they were at our door, and they weren't okay, and they needed help. So it just blew me. I went to the door, and I'm like, oh my God, we were just talking about you, wondering how you were.
So that's the great example of it. Not only are you attracting in what you're focusing on, somebody else like her was drawing you in. You were a magnetic pull to her because she needed help. And all of a sudden she's in your thoughts to reach out to. So it actually works both ways.
And it could have been 100 different people that showed up. It was specifically this person. Very interesting.
So this is why every show we're talking about becoming aware of your thoughts, because really your thoughts are one thing you can choose. Life sometimes doesn't give us much choice, but actually your thoughts are one thing you can really choose. And where are you putting your focus and your energy into those thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so how, you know what? How do you separate that when you've always come from the negative place and it's not, people might think it's not negative, it's real. It's what happens to me or to them. This is what my past is. I want to be this, but the past shows me that that's not happening. How do you change that?
Well, excuse me. This is the important part, because like I was saying, the mind only has the past experiences and things to go by. So when we're at this new turning point, excuse me, this new turning point where we want to start focusing into our new file, we need to stop and become very present and in this now moment through that breath work that we always share, and into our heart. And coming from our heart, there isn't this fear, there isn't the negativity and all the pessimistic stuff. That's not really in our heart. Our heart is only guiding us to the best way to express ourselves, or the best way to show up in life, or to create this new file, because that's where we're placed. Our new file is right there. And the mind, if you really start paying attention to what's going on in your mind, it's actually full of so much nonsense. It's either a bunch of projections of what ifs into the future, or it's, oh, this all happened in the past and rehash and all that stuff over and over again. Or it is a bunch of other people's business and a lot of things that have absolutely nothing to do with us. And I know sometimes in my mind, it's just like, what am I even thinking about, right?
Yeah, my mind is full. This brain is full of everybody else. Time to get rid of it. Yes. And we have to remember, if you say you can, or if you say you can't, you're right.
Yeah, that is huge because like we said, whatever it is that you're putting out there, whether it is that I can do this or I can't do this, the universe doesn't discriminate between one or the other. It is just like, okay, well, this is what they're attracting. This is what they want, right? And no matter what that is.
Yeah. So always important to get grounded, take your breath, get in your heart. Say, I'm okay. I'm safe. I got this. That's what I do. Create that new file and gratitude.
Yes. I'm going to talk a little bit more about gratitude because gratitude is really a wonderful reset. When we're not in gratitude, usually it's a feeling of lack or this never happens for me, whatever it is that's kind of projected out there that the mind is doing. But when we can actually come down into this present moment and think about all the things we're grateful for, and then it's like grace, really. It's like a total neutral reset. It takes all the charge out of those feelings and those emotions and thoughts that are projecting outward and brings it into a place that is of love and grace.
Yes. So that takes us to our tips. And the first tip, like we always say, it's so important. And I've been doing this. It's making a huge difference in my life. It really, really is. Be grounded, be aware, breathe. And what I do in the morning, I don't get up and go, oh, it's cold, it's rainy, I don't want to go to work. I get up and I set my intention for the day. I need to be aware of my negative thoughts. They are guiding me through my day, and I don't want to follow them. So I set my intention. When I go to work, it's because people need help. And my job is to go there and help them. And if I'm going to do it properly, I need to stay out of my head. I need to stay out of my ego. I need to quit listening to all those voices, and I need to be in my heart, and I need to be grounded. So I set the intention for the day. What is my job today? It's to go and help. People need help. That's my job.
I love that. And my tip too is gratitude. So starting your day with gratitude, can have a journal by your bed before you even feet hit the ground, writing down and thinking about what is it that you're grateful for. And there's always something to be grateful for. That grateful you could get up, grateful you can breathe, grateful you have a job, great, like a bed even, there's always something to be grateful for.
Yes.
And so you start that day with gratitude, then the universe, that's the message we're sending out to the universe. And the universe is like, oh, well, they like comfort. They like to have good food. They like to breathe. Let's give them more of that, So we're starting our day with gratitude. And then the other piece is when you are caught in that little loop of whatever that thinking process that's going on in your brain, to stop and go into gratitude. Think of a couple things that you're grateful for. It just hits reset. It helps just shift that thinking into feeling from the heart, because gratitude is actually in your heart, not in your head. Well, it's in your head too, but it's mostly in your heart. And my tip 3 is, like Chris said, giving yourself that breath, dropping down into your heart, and tapping into this new file where the brain, the mind doesn't know, it's the unknown. I've never been here before. So really feeling into that top of that list that you made on the other side, what it feels like to have that in your life, and that new file of value, worth, health, whatever it is for you. And that helps the mind go, oh, okay, well, this is something new, and maybe just be open to it.
And don't listen to what everybody else says if they're not comfortable with it. Like my situation this week, people were fighting me on it. It was uncomfortable for people to see me getting out of that place and moving forward. So don't worry if it's making other people uncomfortable. Don't listen to their voices. Listen to your heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have for sort of a tip for whatever, but on our Facebook page, on The Perspective in Facebook, go there, join our group, hit like, and we'll get you in the group. We have a video there. It's balancing the brain. So if you're being triggered or you're stuck in fear or negative thinking or whatever it is, it resets the whole brain. So through tapping, and it balances the back, the top, the front, the sides, and it absolutely calms your nervous system down. It balances your brain, it clears your thinking, and it hits reset for your mind.
And I love doing this stuff. It was way out there and woo-woo for me, but you know what? It's working really great. I encourage everybody to go there, join the group, and give it a try. So, as usual, short and sweet, so everybody has the opportunity to get these tools to help them through their week. Come and join us every Sunday at 10 o'clock for the new perspective on trauma, abuse, chronic pain, and the steps to a thriving and healthy life. We will see you next week.
Bye, everyone.